about 100 people in jail.
In just a few moments, we are going to show you exactly what happened on the streets of Montreal last night and pose the question many others are asking today, why? But first, there's the main story to all of this. The Montreal Canadiens are the winningest professional sports team in North America. Last night, they did it again. The Los Angeles Kings were on their last legs last night, and the Canadiens quickly moved to pull it out from underneath, scoring in the first period. Paul DiPietro on a nice setup from Gary Lehman. DiPietro had 2 goals on the night. The Rocket and the Pocket Rocket and other Canadians, storied alumni, watched on. And in the third period, leading 2-1, Montreal made the LA defense look tired and stunned. They outplayed and outfinessed the high-tempo offensive team from the left coast, all the while playing Hab defense. And everyone knew that the 24th Cup was in the bag. The Montreal Canadiens victorious again for the 12th time on Forum ice.
No question about it. This has been a day to celebrate for Montreal Canadiens fans, the day they have been waiting for. So it's not surprising they'd be pretty vocal about the Habs victory today.
ATV's Kate Letterick is standing by in Fredericton, where she spent the day tracking down fans.
Well, Paul, Nancy, almost everywhere we went today, there was someone wearing a Montreal shirt or hat or pin, basking in last night's victory. But for some reason, we couldn't seem to find a lot of LA Kings fans today.
The city of Fredericton is a hotbed of Canadian support. After all, it's the home of the Montreal Canadiens farm team, the Baby Habs. Die-hard fans like Mayor Brad Woodside and Premier Frank McKenna can be spotted at most of the Fredericton Canadiens games. So as you might expect, there's been a lot of gloating going on here today. Just ask New Brunswick Labour Minister Vaughn Blaney.
And I sit there and I cheer for my team. I've had my name on the back. The 40, people says it stands for many things. It used to be my waistline. It's really my age. But I'm a very happy Montreal Canadian fan today. I'm literally one of those people who go to Mass every Sunday and I say the name of the Father, Son, and Rocket Richard, and not always in that order.
Everybody's excited.
Yes, I am. Been a fan for a long time.
So what about the LA Kings fans? Have you seen any of them today? Have you been talking to them?
No, I haven't seen anybody at work today who was an LA Kings. Like, nobody. Everybody's a Montreal Canadian fan today.
Do you always wear your Montreal Canadiens hat, or is this just because they won last night?
Not always. I was really going for Toronto. At first, I'd like to see Toronto beat them, but I'd like to see Montreal take LA because LA is not a Canadian team, right? You want to see it stay in Canada.
Well, I'm not too much into hockey, but I'm French, so you got to like the Montreal Canadiens, so.
Happy. Very happy.
You're a big Canadiens fan?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Ever since I was born.
Okay, so not everyone is happy about Montreal winning the Stanley Cup. Montreal Canadiens shirts are going for a premium, but that doesn't seem to be the case with the LA Kings shirts. You've got the LA Kings shirts on sale today. Why is that?
Well, because I ordered really too many of them, and I want to get rid of them.
You don't think there'll be too many people out buying those today?
I don't think so.
And who could be happier than the voice of the Fredericton Canadiens, Andy Wilson?
It certainly takes the sting out of the fact that the Baby Habs didn't get beyond the first round and haven't now for 3 years. But I think that this minor league team has turned over more NHLers than probably any other in the AHL. When you look at a dozen players who spent time in Fredericton up there contributing to a Stanley Cup winning team, it's pretty gratifying.
Now, as I mentioned, we couldn't seem to find any LA Kings fans today, and we're not sure whether that's because they didn't want to admit it, or maybe they're just waiting till next year. Paul?
All right, Kate Letterick. Well, certainly they do have a lot to look forward to in L.A. Will Gretzky be back? That question yet to be answered.
Thanks.
Unfortunately, some Montrealers will have bad memories of June the 9th, the night their team won their 24th Stanley Cup. Instead of victory, these Montrealers will remember violence. Celebrations turned rather ugly last night. Right now, we're going to take you into the maelstrom.
after Montreal's win last night have left a lot of people scratching their heads wondering why. Why violence and looting if Canadiens won? ATV's Janice Landry took to the streets of Halifax today to try and answer that question, and Janice joins us now.
Well, Nancy, a lot of the people I spoke to today said, unfortunately, the violence is a sign of the times. Perhaps not what you'd expect after a team wins the coveted Stanley Cup, or is it? These are scenes captured last night from St. Catherine Street in downtown Montreal. Montreal police report 168 injuries, including 49 police officers. 115 people were arrested. 6 fires were set, including 4 cars. In all, 267 damage reports.
Almost everyone I spoke with today said they were not impressed with what happened after the game last night, but almost everyone said they thought they knew why.
Very depressing to see that happen, particularly in a great Canadian city like that.
Maybe people just lost control of themselves, or?
No, it's being said that they were the people on the streets, not the people who were in the stands.
I think it might be a reflection of how people are these days. Lots of frustration, and they're relieved to just let go. And
you can really celebrate, but there's no reason to smash things. That's just the way things are today. I think destruction is just the way things are happening now.
I think, like everywhere, people getting drunk and getting overproud and overzealous and just going out and ripping and roaring up the town.
Violence in sport has existed perhaps as long as people have been competing against each other. But more and more fans are getting involved. For example, in the 1980s, vicious riots at soccer games in Europe saw fans clashing in bitter battles that left dozens dead and left many shaking their heads in horror and disbelief, including Tom Sweet, the ex-curator of Halifax's Sport Heritage Centre. Sweet himself has been caught in the middle of a few riots. In those cases, it was baseball.
I remember one particular year in Detroit, there was a real riot. We were in this bus coming back, and they nearly tipped the bus on us. But people do this thing. They explode. It's an outlet. That's all part of the collective psyche of these people.
This sociology professor says if it's a sign of the times, it's one we should acknowledge and do something about.
I guess our society just doesn't offer enough institutionalized, structured formats in which young people can get together and be competitive and be aggressive and also do useful stuff. So they get together and they have a lot of fun forming into aggressive groups in an unstructured setting. And we usually term that a riot.
Boy, some of those pictures really are unbelievable. You talked about the disbelief people have watching this.
Absolutely.
What do the Montreal police have to say about what happened last night?
Well, they spent a lot of time today defending how they handled last night. And the police chief said today, Nancy, that at the height of what was happening, there were almost 1,000 police officers. And he said that to even double that number wouldn't have really helped. In fact, he thought it might have even added to the confrontation. And secondly, the police chief was quoted as saying that he thought that there were organized gangs of what he described as hoodlums who headed down to the downtown area.
Who had not been in the forum
exactly, with the specific intent of looting and causing problems and could sort of hide within the mass of the people there. And unfortunately, other people got caught up in all of that. So
it was an unfortunate exclamation point. Very happy night. All right, thanks, Janice, for that interesting report. Here's Paul.
Still to come, Richard Zarowski's complete maritime weather.
As we say, they are starting at Parc La Fontaine, and they'll move down Sherbrooke, past the main library, past Notre Dame Hospital, past some of the more fashionable areas. In fact, one of the places they'll pass, Yvon Lambert, the former Montreal Canadien, has his restaurant on Sherbrooke. They'll pass by some very fashionable stores, such as Cartier and Holt Renfrew. Yes, the MVP of the series, the Conn Smythe winner, is Patrick Waugh. Michael Whalen is also along with, he's on the parade route. Michael?
That's right, Vic. That's right. We're about 2/3 of the way down on the parade route in front of McGill University. And as you can probably see behind me, there's a very large and very enthusiastic crowd. A lot of them dressed in all manner of garb to welcome their hometown heroes. We'll be, we're right near McGill's University Street. And as the floats come down, we'll try to talk to some of the players. And of course, we'll talk to some of the fans as you require.
A future Montreal Canadiens fan and celebrating along with Mom. As we say, there are 5 tractor trailers that will carry the Montreal Canadiens along Sherbrooke. They began very early this morning, Michael, with a reception at City Hall, and then they went to Molson for a brief luncheon, and now they're organizing on their 5 tractor trailers. They got on some people saying, a very hot Montreal team that just wasn't going to be beaten.
I think when you win 10 games in the overtime, Vic, you are on a roll. You get a sense of destiny about this team. We were talking to Jacques Laperriere, the assistant coach, the other day, and we said, gee, Jacques, you got to be a really good team to win 10 games in overtime. He said, no, if you're a really good team, you don't go into overtime.
Somebody with a very old Stanley Cup, California Golden Seals, now the Dallas Stars. We'll return with more of TSN's coverage of the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Parade, and it's here on TSN.
Country sizzles, and we're back with Country Heat 3, an all-new lineup of 16 hit songs by today's hottest artists, including Alan Jackson, Pam Tillis, Brooks and Dunn, Lori Morgan, Michelle Wright, Aaron Tippett, Alabama, and many more. Country Heat 3, 16 hot hits, cassettes, and compact discs in stores now.
When Makita builds high-quality power tools, they design them for the real world, where your reputation is only as good as your last job, where performance and reliability is what pays the bills, where there's just no room for compromise, and where the right power tool for the job is worth everything. That's why the one name that rises to the top is Makita, the power you can trust.
For a limited time, buy this variable 2-speed drill and get this amazing bonus value pack, including a drill bit set, insert bit set, and extra battery.
Many years ago, we came here from France with some very special recipes for old-fashioned hams. We called them Tour FL because they embrace the very flavor of France. Tour FL Farmer Style still contains 40% less salt than our country ham, and 60 grams contain only 1 gram of fat. Try Farmer Style and our other Tour FL hams from McCain, like Black Forest and Parisien, and enjoy the flavor of France.
Preparations continue at the Molson Brewery, just south of our location at Papineau and René Lévesque. The team coming off a luncheon at the Molson Brewery. 5 tractor trailers will carry the team. The 5th and final tractor trailer to carry Guy Carbonneau, the captain, Denis Savard, Kirk Muller, Ronald Corey, the chairman of the board, Serge Savard, the general manager, and Jacques Demers. Of course, this city is in ecstasy after the win of Wednesday night, and with the help of our sister network here in Quebec, RDS has prepared this special musical tribute to the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup champions.
Scored my own net, but
on va prendre celle-là. Là, on n'a pas frappé personne. On s'est pas impliqué.
because I don't believe in winning like that.
On avait un rebutaille aussi, on savait qu'il était illégal. On est sur le bon pied pour aller là-bas, puis gagner la série. Je pense qu'on a paniqué un petit peu.
Some wonderful moments from the Stanley Cup Final Series as the Canadiens clinch their 24th Stanley Cup on Wednesday night, as we are still waiting for the team to arrive at the corner of Papineau and Sherbrooke, Parc LaFontaine, for the start of this victory parade. There's little doubt, as they said during the telecast, that the MVP of that series, Conn Smythe winner, had to be Patrick Roy.
Patrick Roy was unbelievable. And you know, you hear this sometimes, Vic. People will say, oh, you were lucky, the goaltender made great saves. Well, if Wayne Gretzky has a hat trick, a 5-point night, no one says, gee, Gretzky was lucky. Patrick Roy is the same caliber player as Wayne Gretzky. They just play different positions. So there was nothing lucky about Patrick Roy's 96-minute streak in overtime or shutout. He's the best goaltender going.
You got to look at McGill University. That is one of the places this parade will pass as it heads the 5 kilometers from Papineau west along Sherbrooke to Guy. It's an incredible streak they got on, though, Michael, when you think about it. They lost their first 2 to Quebec, and then they come back and just literally roll along to finish, you know, at 16-4.
Well, they didn't really roll. In fact, after the winning streak had reached 8 games, we were talking about it. And because they weren't beating up teams the way Pittsburgh would beat up teams, and because there was so much time off between the series, it didn't seem like they had done what they had done, win those games in a row.
The air horns, too much for some people. Canadian Championship T-shirts are already in full force here in Montreal. Michael Whalen is with us.
Yes, Vic, I'm standing by with Constable Jean Dupuis of the urban police. Jean, you don't expect too many problems today, do you?
Shouldn't be any problems today.
You know, after what happened on Wednesday night, I get the feeling that Montrealers would really like to show the world, the rest of Canada certainly, that they're not a city of barbarians.
No, there shouldn't be any problems. There's just a little bunch the other night. Shouldn't be any problems today.
Have you guys been given special instructions on what to do today? Are you anticipating anything at all?
No, just quiet crowd control.
Okay, thanks. What was your opinion about what happened the other night, Jean?
Very unfortunate, but it's not a majority. It's just a minority.
Okay.
That's about it.
Thank you very much, Jean. Back to you guys.
And Michael, I think that's the sentiment of many people. It was an unfortunate few that got into it and really hurt the reputation of the city. Trying to recapture, though, its Stanley Cup glory. We're moments away from the start of the Montreal Canadiens Stanley Cup Parade as they organize at Molson Brewery here in Montreal. And it's live on TSA.
Is your poor old elbow running out of elbow grease? Then get serious about stripping with Easy Stripper. Watch how its thousands and thousands of fingers per minute literally eat away old paint right before your eyes. Look out, there's a nail. No problem. Easy Stripper buzzes by without missing a beat. Not like your old paper-powered sander. Why use messy chemicals that turn into toxic slime? Easy Stripper's high-tensile steel fingers gently yet totally erase old paint with no mess. They strip every corner of this window frame without shattering the glass. Try that with your old paint scraper. Door frame, siding, louvers, nothing beats this incredible tool. Thick, scaly rust like this just wipes away in seconds with no effort. Restore old lawn furniture and save yourself hundreds of dollars. It's gentle enough to refinish fine furniture without damaging it. Easy Stripper will thrash the daylights out of your refinishing chores.
Easy Stripper is now available at these fine stores. Refinishing projects have never been so fast and so easy. Pick up your Easy Stripper today.
Great. You're determined to quit smoking. But not when you're swamped at work. Then certainly not while you're on vacation. Not on your birthday. Or on the weekend. And definitely not now. That is the worst time. Finally, there's Nicorette, 2 milligram nicotine chewing pieces to help control your cravings by slowly weaning you off nicotine. Prescribed for years by doctors, it's now available without a prescription. Ask your pharmacist for Nicorette. Don't put it on. Break it off. For more information, call this number.
McCain has a great new pizza snack. They call them Pizza Pockets. McCain! Pizza Pockets. The great pizza taste will keep you coming back. McCain! Pizza Pockets.
Pizza perfection in a crust that's baked, not fried. So there's no leaks, no mess. Just taste. All taste and nothing but
McCain! Pizza Pockets.
No leaks, no mess. Just pizza perfection.
You're looking at live pictures as the Montreal Canadiens appear to be now starting to get on their one of 5 tractor trailers that will carry them up Papineau to Sherbrooke and then west along to Guy here in Montreal. 24 titles, 24 Stanley Cups. That's the most ever by a professional franchise. New York Yankees next, Michael, at 22, Boston Celtics at 16.
It's a great tradition here, arguably the best in North American sports anyway. What is so important about this team is that the players are from here. 5 of the guys on the ice are Montrealers, from the island or just off the island. So Montreal, it's part of the social fabric of the team. It's not merely a hockey team. These aren't mercenaries. They come from the ground up. The roots are here, and that's what makes this team so very special.
And it's an interesting point you made, because a lot of people, many people thought that that would all end when they took away all those early protected lists. Remember, you had people, youngsters, 14, 15, protected by NHL teams, and that's why they were predominantly the Flying Frenchmen for all those years. But now they've been able to build that again.
Exactly. About half the team is homegrown, and that's extraordinary in this day and age, because hockey is a global sport. It's not only played in Quebec. It's not only played in Canada. Quebec is a very small part of the total picture. But the people who come from this province wear the CH with pride, and the Canadians know that when they draft.
One of the local radio stations here in Montreal saluting Les Canadiens. Bravo, Les Canadiens. The series also brings into doubt the future of Wayne Gretzky. Will he retire? Will he play another season? That's something that the media wanted to talk to Wayne about when the series was over.
I said to my wife before the playoffs started that I'm going to give it my best effort. And as a professional athlete, I always wanted to finish on a high. I'm going to take the next week or so, try to decide what I want to do for the future. Maybe it's time for a new challenge, I'm not sure.
You may retire from the game if you feel you didn't?
Well, I'm not sure. I always wanted to go on a high. It would have been a tremendous high to win, but I feel that in this playoff I've played as well as I ever did in my career, and we'll see what happens the next few days. I'll sit down and talk to my wife, and you know, everybody's making an issue of the contract. You know, if money was an issue to me, I would have been in there in January getting my contract redone. That's really not the issue. The issue is whether or not I really do want to play again. I'm not sure.
If you'd won, would you have retired?
Well, the decision might have been a little bit easier. You know, I think that the only thing in my career I don't want to remember it as is a has-been, and I want to go out playing as well as any player in the game, if not better. I'm not sure there's too many guys that played better than I did in the playoffs this year. Maybe it's time.
All I know is, Michael, many people thinking that Wayne Gretzky suffering a very bad case of the final losing blues there, that in fact he will be back because he's only some 30 goals, if I remember correctly, short of the all-time mark of
801 goals for Gordie Howe. Whatever Wayne Gretzky decides is all right by me. He set his own agenda when he became the greatest player, perhaps in history, during the 1980s. He will know when it's time. I've always thought, though, with his back history, the fact that he has more money than he knows what to do with, the fact that he has a lovely family that he would like to spend more time with, it might be time for him to quit, but only Wayne Gretzky can make that decision. He knows what's right for him.
Is money a factor, do you think, in fact, that he isn't the highest paid player right now?
I don't think so. I think he recognizes the fact that there are players who are better than he is in the game right now. Mario Lemieux, first among them. But clearly, there was a promise made to Walter Gretzky, Wayne's dad, by Mr. McNall, that Wayne would be the highest paid player. I think he would like that honored. I don't know if Wayne will come back or not, but whatever he does is just fine with me.
You see that people continue to line the streets now, growing as lunch hour is underway here in Montreal. And we're still waiting for the trucks, the tractor trailers, to leave the Molson Brewery. And they're lining the rooftops here in Montreal as well. Turning point in the series, the Kings will point at Game 3 when they were down 3-0, came back to tie and then to lose in overtime. Is that the key for you?
Don't believe it for a minute. The key to this series, the turning point, was Game 2, Marty McSorley's stick. I'll give you a little Montreal lore here, and I'm sure you remember it, Vic. 1979, Don Cherry, too many men on the ice, Stan Jonathan.
Sure.
A great moment in Montreal history, of course, a great moment in Don Cherry history, because if not for the too many men penalty, Don Cherry might not be the rich man he is today. So the Canadiens won that game. Guy Lafleur tied it up. They won it in overtime, went on to win their 4th consecutive cup. People always talk about that, and people will always talk about Marty McSorley's illegal stick. The Kings were going to win that game, go back to L.A. 2-0. Montreal ended up tying it up, winning in overtime. It was a big difference going back to the other team's rink. 1-1, we're down 0-2.
Comparisons being made with this Stanley Cup to that of 86.
An excellent comparison. You'll remember that was the year Steve Smith, bank went off Grant Fuhrer's skate.
That's right.
That happened so Montreal didn't have to play a great Edmonton Oilers team, nor did Montreal have to play Philadelphia, which had 115 or so points that year. The Rangers took care of the Flyers for Montreal. This year, well, Boston was gone.
What's the situation out there now? Are there any kind of caps out there that you're aware of?
Well, no. In fact, the government changed the regulations last year on how an establishment can qualify for VLTs and how many they can qualify for.